If you're following the news, all of the headlines about the conditions in the current housing market may leave you with more questions than answers. Is the boom over? Is the market crashing or correcting? Here's what you need to know. The housing market is moderating compared to the last 2 years. But what everyone needs to remember is that the past 2 years were record-breaking in nearly every way. Record low mortgage rates and millennials reaching peak home buying years led to an influx of buyer demand. And at the same time, there weren't enough homes available to purchase, thanks to many years of underbuilding and sellers who held off on listing their homes due to the health crisis. This combination led to record high demand and record low supply. And that wasn't going to be sustainable for the long term. The latest data shows early signs of a shift back to the market pace seen in the years leading up to the pandemic, not a crash or a correction. As Realtor.com says, the housing market is at a turning point. We're starting to see signs of a new direction. Headlines are also talking about how some existing home sales are declining, but perspective matters. Here's a look at existing home sales going all the way back to 2019 using data from the National Association of Realtors, or NAR. The pandemic numbers beat the more typical year of 2019 home sales, and according to the latest projections for 2022, the market is on pace to close this year with more home sales than 2019 as well. It's important to compare today not to the abnormal pandemic years, but to the most recent normal year to show the current housing market is still strong. First American Title sums it up like this. Today's housing market looks a lot like the 2019 housing market, which was the strongest housing market in a decade at that time. So the bottom line is, if recent headlines are generating any concerns, let's look at the more typical year in perspective. The current market is not a crash or a correction. It's just a turning point toward more typical pre-pandemic levels. Let's connect if you have any questions about our local market and what it means for you when you buy or sell this year.